Okay, hopefully this is right now. So, what's the how do you-
Hello.
I have been talking this entire time. Can you hear me now? Everybody can hear me.
Can hear you now.
All right. Okay. Sorry, we're gonna go quick because this is my fault. It's total a technical error on my part. Thank you, Teneka, for joining us again today. I'm so glad to have you here. So let's just hop right into it because I didn't waste a lot of time trying to figure out Facebook and live. So today we're going to talk with Teneka Perry. Today we're going to talk about weight loss and water and the correlation between the two and how drinking water can help you in your weight loss journey. So Tanika, the first thing is what I just said. How does drinking water and work with weight loss?
Well, hopefully this live is saved like the other lives. So one of the things that we talked about in our first live was weight loss is just as simple as calories out have to be greater than calories in. So you have to burn more calories than you eat. Well, water correlates with that because water has absolutely no calories. So it's something that you're using to hydrate yourself, but you're not getting any other calories. It's not counting for anything else as far as your calorie intake. So therefore, one of the best things that you can drink for weight loss is water. It's essential for life. It's essential for your body. But if we correlate it to just weight loss, it's just as simple as that. It doesn't have any calories.
How much water should a person aim for on a daily basis?
That's really a good question. How much you should aim for would be at least 8 cups, but that's negotiable, really depending on other things that are going on. Like we're in the South, we're in a hotter climate, we're coming up on summer. Of course, we probably would need to be above the 8 cups to really be hydrated because we're in a climate where we're going to sweat and thus we're going to lose water. So 8 cups would be a good minimum starting point, which equates to about half a gallon. But if you're doing other things like weight loss is your goal, you're speeding up your metabolism, you're flushing toxins from your body, you definitely need to have enough water to do that. So let's say 8 cups is the minimum to maintain life. Going above that is not a problem. While yes, there is a such thing as drinking too much water, as adult humans, we really don't have the ability to do so unless we like somebody puts a funnel in our mouth. So there's not really an upper limit of water, but the more things that you're trying to do and trying to accomplish, the more you need to have because water is an integral part in that. So if you've been working on weight loss and you've been working on changing your diet, likely you've been increasing fiber. Increasing fiber is going to have a negative effect on your digestive system if you're not getting enough water. Now you're not going to be able to use the bathroom because there's not enough water for the fiber that you have now increased to. So you have to adjust all of those things and increase to make it better. So let's say 8 cups is a minimum. Just if we're doing everything exactly the same, the purpose of this group is we're actually making some dietary and lifestyle changes. So we probably need to be upwards of 11 to 12 cups in a day.
That's good because it's hot outside. Okay,
Yeah,
it's
it's
very hot outside, and I'm like,
hot.
I feel like I'm thirsty all the time. And I used to didn't like water as much, but now it's like it's my go-to now. I I need water, and yes,
Right.
water does have different tastes. I don't care what nobody say. Okay,
No.
what foods can we eat that are high in water intake?
Um, well, we'll start with foods. Period. Everything that you eat has a water content, right? Just as good as water is 60% of our bodies. It's 60 to 90% of everything else that's available for us to eat. So you're going to get water from everything. But if you want to talk about the foods that are going to have the highest water content, it's going to be citrus fruits and melons. So anything that, if you think about it, when you bite into it, it is watery. It has juice that comes out of it. So those are going to be your best fruit sources of water. For vegetable sources, I don't know if you remember, one of my pet peeves is iceberg lettuce because iceberg lettuce just is water. I mean, you really get very little nutrients from iceberg lettuce. But vegetables, cucumbers, Tomatoes actually a fruit, but the juicier that it is, of course, the higher the water content. So your highest thing for something you can eat with water content is citrus fruits and melons, anything from those two categories.
And it's watermelon time.
It is watermelon season. I just bought my first one today.
Me too. It took forever for me to find a seeded watermelon. I was like, what happened to the people on the side of the road when you get $5 watermelons?
Gotta go to Pageland, girl. Gotta go to Pageland.
Oh, well, yeah. I told my kids, I was like, we've never been to the watermelon festival. I definitely need to take them.
Yeah, oh, it's on a Thursday, Friday this year. Odd, but
really,
yeah. So that's
sorry, we get sidetracked. Should we really drink a gallon of water today? I know sometimes we do the gallon of water challenge in this group, and I never make it. I don't know. It's something about drinking the entire gallon. It's just, I never conquered it. I'll do 64 ounces every day, but the gallon is just so hard for me.
So once again, like we said, your minimum is your 64 ounces. That's what you need to get in to even maintain life, and to not be dehydrated. To get a gallon in, is it a requirement that you drink a gallon, or is it a requirement that your body has a gallon? Remember, you are also getting it from other sources. So if that's harder for you, then, I mean, I'm not going to sit there and say it's a requirement, but like I said, it also depends on other things that you're doing. If you've increased your workout regimen and now you're working out, then you're sweating more and you're burning more water. More water is coming out of your body because the water is necessary to come out your body to flush toxins out. So depending on what you're doing in life, then yes, you absolutely have to increase that. If you're not doing anything different, then would you necessarily need to drink a gallon of water? Maybe not, but it's definitely a good goal to push towards every day.
So with, we drink the fruit is our thing. So with the water also helps with the flushing. So we try to tell people as much as possible to drink as much water as you can to help the drink to shrink along, to help flush. So that the working out that we're doing in here, so hitting that 64 ounces is important. Like she said, the minimum is for life. Just basic function.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. This is a group that's focus is on weight loss. And so in order to achieve that, then you have to be doing something above what is the standard, right? We have to be working out above what's the standard so that we're burning more calories. We have to be eating the right amount of calories, and you have to be drinking over the water that's needed for life. If you're drinking only 64 ounces, you're probably not giving your body enough to do the other things that it needs to do. Because if you're putting things into your body and the goal is to lose weight and your body needs to flush the toxins, it needs to flush the extra fat, it needs to do all of that, then it needs to have enough water to do so, or else your body's just going to retain it. There's no way to get it out.
Okay. I love talking. Okay. What counts towards our daily consumption? Okay, now that for me, sometimes I don't think like the other things I drink that have water in them counts towards my goal. I feel like if it ain't just straight water, it don't count. Tell me I'm wrong, Teneka.
Well, you're wrong. So if it has water in it, it counts, right? But remember, the only way to get water without calories is to drink water. So therefore, it's not that it doesn't count towards, oh, I needed to drink a gallon of water. Then you probably could drink 8 cups of water, which is half a gallon, and eat a watermelon, and you may be very close. But did you get other things? Now you got probably more sugar than you needed in the day. You got some extra calories. Even though watermelon is a healthy snack, eating 2 of them in a day is not necessarily a good thing. So you got other things for your count. So the goal of weight loss is to make sure that everything that you're doing is, remember we talked last time about things being nutrient dense. So for water, it's one of the best things that you can do for minerals and other essential things that's not adding anything to your calorie count. But those other things that you drink absolutely do count because they have water. It's probably the first ingredient on most things that we eat or drink, or one of the highest ingredients. If you guys are ever looking at food labels, we'll just give you an indication. When you look at the ingredients that they have listed out, like let's say it's pancake mix and the first ingredient might be wheat or something like that, what they list the ingredients in the order of the volume they are. So the first ingredient has the highest concentration in that particular item. So if you look at your food labels, anything that has a food label, especially if it's a liquid, water is probably one of the top things that's in there. So yes, it definitely is counting for water. But then remember what else you're getting for your water. Like for me, unfortunately, I was Southern transplant, so I like tea. I love sweet tea. I wish I could really say that I could, if I could get my water intake through tea, I can definitely do a gallon a day. Probably would be no problem for me at all. It's delicious. But I'm getting the sugar that's involved because it's only good because we made it with sugar.
Right.
And then tea has caffeine naturally. Caffeine naturally dehydrates you. So therefore, yes, does it count for my water? But it's also being counterintuitive if it's dehydrating me because caffeine pulls that water right back out of my body along with other nutrients. So caffeine tends to pull the iron out your body. Iron pulls the calcium out your. So you have all these other things that are flushing out with it. But you got your water content. So anything that we do, it has to make sense for what we're trying to do. If our goal is to increase water, then the best way to do that is for it just to be water. Now I'm a realist. I'm not a good water drinker. I never have been. I really have to work on it. So probably every cup of water that I have probably has about a half a lemon squeezed in it. Just, I mean, 'cause I'm not really good and I don't like other fruit flavors in it. So I probably have like the highest pH known to man with citrus. I mean, really, I mean, I literally can take a whole lemon and squeeze it in my 32 ounce. I mean, it's the only way I can really constantly drink it throughout the day. For me, just plain water. And that's like you were saying earlier, does water have a taste? Absolutely it does. And that's my trauma for childhood because I grew up in the city. So city water doesn't, I moved to the South, like, water's great. Well, I'm already banished from water because it smells like a swimming pool coming out of the tap.
Okay.
We didn't grow up with all these filters and, all this nice stuff. So therefore I didn't like the taste and I didn't drink it. And now, I mean, unless it's a super hot day and I've been sweating or, I'm in the middle of Disney World after 3 hours of walking around, it's just really hard for me to drink plain water. I really have to have something with me.
For me, my trauma is water tastes like the hose because we was drinking that water hose got a taste. Okay.
It does have a taste. It has a metallic taste coming through that little metal end. Definitely has a metallic taste. And I'm pretty sure we weren't supposed to be drinking the beginning ones that had been sitting in the hose for, like the whole day, and we turned it on. I think we're supposed to let it run for a little bit, but we didn't
let it run.
Yeah.
And we have a well now, so that's a whole nother taste. But
I think well water has a taste. Southern people love it, but I think well water has a strange taste to me.
It does. I listen, some people like, oh, you got well water, give me some of that water. And I'll be like, have it. Like we boiling water out here or buying water. Okay, yeah. Sorry. No, it's the best time to drink water. Now I've heard, excuse the man with y'all, he does not care that I'm in here talking to you, so he in here playing. What is the best time to drink water? So I've heard that you should, as soon as you wake up, you should drink water. Before you go to bed, you should drink water. I know we should drink water all day, but does the time of day really affect everything else?
The time of day doesn't affect what the water does in your body. The time of day may affect other things, like if you wake up and drink water, because water has other minerals and nutrients, then it may jumpstart your metabolism, make you feel hungry. I'm not necessarily a breakfast eater, so I'm not even hungry till like 10:30, 11 o'clock in the day, even though I've been up since 6. But drinking water, for some people, actually stimulates that. Drinking water before you eat meals is going to displace you overeating, right? Because we eat to satisfaction, but we tend to eat too fast. So we actually would have been full prior to the volume that we ate if we would have slowed down and enjoyed our food. So because we don't do that, then drinking water before it kind of displaces it, makes you not overeat. Drinking water at night, I mean, I don't know what purpose that serves other than making you have to get up to pee, but the time of day to me doesn't seem very important. A lot of things are out there just for myths. If you're drinking it adequately during the day, your body really doesn't care what time of day it is.
Now I get the drinking before you eat, so you want to eat as much. I understand that, but the other ones I just didn't. I mean, even though I do, like I keep 2 water bottles by my bed, so when the first thing I do when I wake up is I'm knocking out 32 ounces when I wake up.
Wow, I couldn't do that if I tried.
I do, but now like when I was younger, it had to be like ice cold, but now I do not. Don't give me no cold water, please don't. I need room temperature water off the floor. That's what we keep it.
I need ice, lemon, and if I were to drink water first thing in the morning when I woke up, I'd be nauseous. Like just
if I don't, that's how I feel. Like if I don't have my water, I feel like I need, because I don't eat breakfast, so I'm learning. I'm learning, everybody.
Yeah,
All
but
right.
as far as the time of day, your body's not very picky with that. You know, people work third shift, their day is completely different than ours. So it's not really more about the time of day. It's just about getting it in. Getting it in any way is beneficial for your body.
Now, my last question. What is
Mhm.
the best type of water to drink? Alkaline, spring water, distilled, out my well? What's the best?
Yes, this is a good question. When I saw this question on the list, I laughed because I'm like, this is a big debate in the nutrition world. Let's say this: water is what's best. Okay, water comes just like it comes. Water. Unfortunately, in America, we don't have an unlimited. Our water supply comes if you're on like city water. If you're not on well water, our water supply comes through treatment plants. Because of the amount of things that we put into our sewer system, there's no way to get those things back out without doing some treatments to water.
Right.
So, I mean, just to be very clear, um, people flush birth control, right? There's 32 million billion people in America. If 10 million of them flush birth control, then water definitely has hormones in it now. And when those are filtered back out, there's no way, there's some things that there's no way to destroy until you do something else to water. So that's why there's been this big push to have other types of water. Let's be very clear, there's only one type of water, right? All they've done is done something else to the water. So we'll talk about that. I'm not sure if you've heard of water that's done through reverse osmosis.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's been a pretty big fad because the reverse osmosis actually pulls things from the water, right? So it's marketed that it's pulled the toxins from the water, because our water supply is recycled.
Right.
So after so long, if you're on city water, you're drinking recycled water, it is what it is. There are other contaminants in the water. Even though there might be in trace amounts, they're there. So reverse osmosis tells that it's taken all of that from the water, right? Because it's filtered, well, not really filtered, but reverse osmosis, the process pulls toxins from the water. What they don't tell you is it also pulls the natural minerals that are in the water out the water. So the water has nothing, right? So that's not normal either. Water actually has minerals that it needs. It does have magnesium. It does have, iodine. It has those things. So while it may have taken the arsenic out of the water, it also took the fluoride out of the water, which we need. So some of these things we need in certain quantities, and because they're not there, we're not getting it. So reverse osmosis took that out of the water. If you're drinking water like that, then you have to replace those minerals, those micronutrients. Remember, that was one other topic. You have to replace them some way because you're not getting them in the normal water source. Distilled water is another one that I hear about. People feel like they should drink distilled water. Distilled water is nothing but water that's been boiled and cooled back down. So the boiling process kills things, right? Anything living cannot live through a high heat temperature. It dies. You cool the water back down and drink it. Well, the same thing, the same way distilled water kills contaminants that we're talking about that are naturally in our water supply, it also in turn kills some natural organisms that need to be in the water that we drink because they also cannot deal with the high temperatures. So a lot of your vitamins and nutrients are very unstable as far as dealing with extreme colds or extreme heat. So it kills them or it deactivates them. So just like, I was gonna talk about my breast milk world, we tell moms not to shake it, right? Because the natural things that are in our food supply or that our body needs are disrupted when you do the wrong things to them. So distilled water is just like reverse osmosis. Yes, it probably took a lot of contaminants out of the water because it was boiled at a very high temperature and cooled back down, and allowed to come back to a water state. However, it also killed some natural things that you needed in the water. So if you drink those two water types, then you tend to also need to be taking a multivitamin or something else to get those nutrients back in because they're not coming through their natural source anymore. Alkaline water. So, I don't know if you have any stark alkaline water people in your group, and I'm sure if they're watching this on a replay that they'll hate me for this. But alkaline water is a marketing ploy. Alkaline water is nothing but water that has a higher pH than regular tap water. So supposedly the theory is because you're drinking it with a higher pH, then your body is then going to have a higher pH. And then it can neutralize the acid in your body. And neutralizing that acid, I mean, we know with that neutralization comes the effects of, like fighting cancer and things like that. We've proven that the pH in your body is very important to some other diseases that happen because our body is not in balance. However, there's absolutely no scientific evidence that drinking alkaline water does anything for your body's pH. But I mean, buy it. I think it's a little more expensive, if I'm not mistaken. But people are selling it. But
Earth Fair.
Yeah. So there's no evidence at all that drinking water with a higher pH does anything to change your body's pH. It has not been proven anywhere in science as of today, June 8th, 2021.
Ooh, some people I know some people swear by pH.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with drinking it. I'm sure it does something for the pH of your mouth. And I'm pretty positive those people probably wouldn't get thrush. You know what I'm saying? Because the water is hitting their mouth and the pH in their mouth is pretty balanced, but it doesn't translate to what your body does, right? It doesn't neutralize because you went and ate 10 pizzas. That doesn't neutralize what was in there. That's not really how water works in our body. And then honestly, this is probably one of my pet peeves with alkaline water is alkaline water. When I see, and I don't water shop. I'm not a water buyer. I drink the water out my fridge. But alkaline water is normally sold in plastic bottles. So pretty sure between the BPAs and other things that are leaching back into the water from the plastic bottle, I'm not quite sure how much benefit that you're getting.
So it's a BPA-free bottle.
I mean, even if it was a BPA-free bottle, if you're that keen on alkaline water and its benefits, then probably stop destroying the earth by buying plastic bottles. I mean, I'm saying just plastic doesn't biodegrade for, 50 million years and all of it leaches back into our water system. Thus, we wouldn't need a need for filtered water if we didn't have all this waste. I don't know. That's just my high horse for today. But water is what you need to drink. There's not very, spring water is just a fancy name for water. There's no such thing as spring water. Spring water could be the water that I bottled and put Teneka's spring water that came out of my tap. If you think that somebody went into a creek and got it out of a spring, they did not. It particularly usually came out of somebody's tap. And Coke just has a large tap, or Nestle just has a large tap, or, you know what I'm saying? I mean, there's spring water. Dollar General's water comes from a water bottling plant in Pageland. Now, do you know any springs? No. Because I know, and I lived there half of my life.
Right.
That plant is right there down the street from the house, and they bottle water for Dollar General, and it will tell you bottled at so-and-so Springs in Pageland, South Carolina. Okay, well, the town ain't but yay big. I'm pretty sure I would know if there was a spring.
Right.
Spring water would be what? Well water? Because there's only one water table in the earth. You have to tap down to the water table to get the water that's being filtered by the earth. And when you tap a hose that's what a well is. You tap your hose all the way down to the water table and you get the water that's naturally flowing a few layers down the earth for all of us. So I'm not really sure what spring water is, but to let everybody know, it's just a good marketing ploy because you can call anything spring water. There's no legislation about what is considered spring water. All water technically comes from spring.
I read the labels because I don't know why I start reading water labels to see where I think I probably seen like an ABC video or the Dateline or something that it tells you where the water comes from. Even on spring water, any water you buy, it tells you the source of the water. And sometimes it's like a treatment plant. It's like, what's about that treatment plant? Nothing. So what I gather is we need to just drink water. It don't matter what kind of water you drink it, you just need to drink it.
Right. And to be honest, a lot of it is just marketing to get you to buy their water. Now, this is just me. This is a personal note. I have a lot of diverse friend group. So one of the soccer dads actually works at a water treatment plant. And he does not allow his daughter on the soccer field to have bottles of water, like bottled water. Mm-hmm. And this is his theory behind it. Water itself is a living organism, right? So you think about if you leave a cup of water just sitting, right? You can leave a cup of water sitting in your car, just an open cup of water. It's going to grow mold.
Right. Uh-oh. Did we lose it?
Car for 2 years, and they don't do anything. Nothing changes to it. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes. don't know what happened.
Okay. So, yeah, I don't know. But his theory on water is the water that's bottled, definitely it's been treated in a way so that it doesn't mold, it doesn't grow anything, it's not getting any air, so why are bottles of water lasting in a plastic bottle for years and years and they're not growing anything if water is a living organism, just like breast milk is a living organism. If you leave it sitting for long enough, the organisms would grow, but bottled water doesn't do that. And because he works at a water treatment plant, he's like, I already know that something's been added or taken away from the water for it to be stable enough to sit on a shelf in a factory for 6 months and then sit in the back seat of your car being hit by the sun and the heat and all these things, remember, affect the nutrients that are in water naturally. It can sit there for 6 months later, and then you just want to grab that bottle of water out the car and put it on ice and drink it. He's like, that couldn't possibly be okay. You wouldn't take a regular cup of water that's been sitting in your car for 6 months and then be like, oh yeah, I'm going to down it. So what's the difference? Water should act like water. So he's always been very, I just trust people in there. That's not my wheelhouse, right? I don't work in a water treatment plant, but I trust people in their expertise. I always found it interesting that in soccer, he will not allow his daughter brings a reusable water bottle that they fill with ice. But if the option is, oh, we have to run out and get bottles of water, they tend to always have enough coolers and ice and stuff. He's like, there's no need. There's clearly something going on with bottles of water that don't ever turn bad. When you can hold on to them for 10 years, that's not okay. Because water doesn't work like that.
But that's the way. Now that I think about it, I'm like, now I didn't see this water sit. It ain't nothing happened. But I have heard, though, that you shouldn't, drink water that's been sitting in the trunk of your car. Because
it's been exposed to heat and all that time, but because it's bottled and they've done something in the factory bottling process, it's not going to show you its changes, right? It's just like, I don't know if you've ever seen the video about meat, but you know how you can buy meat where the plastic is touching the meat, or you can buy meat where there's a plastic and then the meat's down underneath, there's a pocket of air.
Right.
And I don't buy meat with the pocket of air if I can avoid it, because they talked about how they infuse that air so that the meat itself will never turn colors, because you can manipulate it in the packaging process. And so what they can do is continue to put things into that pocket of air. That meat could be way older, but it will still look red. It will still look fresh because you've manipulated what's in the air between it. Which is why as soon as you open it, if you're not cooking it right then, the next day it doesn't look good to you anymore. It's because it's been manipulated in the packaging process. So the same thing is happening to water. Remember, I'm not trying to be funny at all. I love a soda as good as the next person. I've been off of them in 2021, but I love them. I do. It's not like I haven't had any. I still love them. People say, oh, the longer you don't drink one, you don't want one. I don't know who that happens to, because I still want one, child. They still taste good to me, but I know I don't need them. So, and I'm happy. I've lost 25 pounds, so clearly it's working. But I always laugh that the same packaging company that makes Dasani makes Coke. The same packaging company makes a lot of other things that we say we shouldn't drink. The bottling process is the bottling process. They know how to keep things fresh. There are preservatives being added to things that are coming from factories in order to keep them fresh, because we're not going to buy anything that's unfresh.
No.
We're not going to buy an apple that's bruised. We're not, that's the natural process, but our food source is going to be manufactured because they can't make money selling a banana with a bruise on it.
Right.
We're going to create a process so the banana does not bruise, so they can get it to the store so that you'll buy it. The real process of a banana, if you were to think about buying it off of a tree, it cannot go through that whole shipping process and not have any bruises. It's just not normal. So water is the same. Water is bottled. Water is processed. But with everything else in life, the benefits sometimes outweigh the cost, right? That's the only way that you can get water. Water is essential for life, so then you need to drink it. If that's the water that you like to taste. So the answer to the last question basically is, which water is the best? The water that you like the best. That's the one that's the best for you. The one that's going to make you actually drink it. If you like it, then you like it. Because the small traces of whatever in it that's bad for you probably do not override all that's in it that's good for you.
Right. I like Fiji.
I do too. I had that at the Tyler Perry event. I kind of did like the taste.
I put up a post in my group about the water, you pick what water you like, and people said core. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go buy a core. I want the people to refund me my money. It was so nasty. I was like, this water is nasty. I was like, what is core? Listen, I'll just drink the stick to bottled water, just regular water. Actually, after this conversation, I feel like I should go buy a filter and just drink my own water.
That's what I do. I just use the filter on my refrigerator. You know, I mean, but I'm also not a water drinker, so I'm probably not the good person to ask because my water tastes like lemon.
Right. You got to make lemonade.
Yeah, you know, I got enough acid in it to probably cut out anything that's bad in there. I probably pretty much killed it in the acidic environment that I'm drinking it in. But
Does
I
anybody who on here have any questions? I see some other people. If you have questions, you can ask them. If you have questions, if you're watching this on a replay, you can say replay questions, and I'll try to get the questions to Teneka, or she can answer them herself if she like in the group. Thank you, Teneka, for this questioning, this conversation. I'm sorry for the technical difficulties. Um, but thank you for this conversation. So the main goal, everybody, is 64 ounces is what our challenge is for this week anyway. So make sure you're getting 64 ounces. It doesn't really matter the flavor, the brand name of the water, as long as you're getting water. Water is water. It's what we're gathering from this conversation. It doesn't matter what time you drink the water, when you drink the water, just drink water. You need it for life. Your body's made up of water. We need it. So just make sure you drink water. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below and put replay comment or whatever your question is, and we'll try to get them. Thank you. If you have any questions, we'll try to get them answered. Thank you, Teneka, and hopefully we'll see you back for something else, girl.
For sure, you know, I'll always be here. Can't wait to hear about the next topics. Good luck, everybody, on your weight loss journey. Just know that every day is just one day at a time. If you fall off the wagon, just get back on it tomorrow. You definitely will get where you're trying to go.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night.
Bye, everybody.